The Lord be with you and with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. After the 5,000 had eaten and were satisfied, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and precede him to the other side toward Bethsaida. While he dismissed the crowd, and when we had taken leave of them, he went off to the mountain to pray. When it was evening, the boat was far out on the sea, and he was alone on shore. Then he saw that they were tossed about while rowing, for the wind was against them. About the 4th watch of the night, he came toward them walking on the sea. He meant to pass by them. But when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost and cried out. They had all seen him and were terrified. But at once he spoke with them. "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." He got into the boat with them and the wind died down. They were completely astounded. They had not understood the incident of the loaves. On the contrary, their hearts were hardened. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Good afternoon, everyone. With so many winds against the church and so many material and spiritual floodings, the consolation, the protection of the church is the Lord himself and his true presence. When St. John tells us God is love, whoever remains in love remains in God, and God in him. We can also say that God is the Eucharist, and who remains in the Eucharist remains in God, and God in him. The Eucharist is the gift of presence of Christ, risen over the mount, at the foot of the Father, that wants to walk over the waters of history to encounter us in the Eucharist. The Eucharist is Jesus with us, our calm against the wind, against all storms, and also a clear direction. Today we celebrate a life of this country. An immigrant who was the 4th Bishop of Philadelphia, St. John Neumann from Bohemia, middle name Nepomucene. It was a difficult situation in the church. Many immigrants with the majority of the people. Catholic schools, and he may not lose their Catholic school. So it was some attacks against these works of Archbishop Neumann with the group called the Know-Nothings, that they who don't know anything of what was happening, they began to burn the Catholic churches, and with them the Catholic schools in Philadelphia. And what was the response of this Archbishop? The flames burning the churches. The Eucharist. St. John Neumann decided to found the devotion of 40 hours to the Eucharist. What was the most important thing for the church? To pray. and to pray for the conversion of his persecutors, to pray for those who were burning the churches and the schools, and to adore the Lord in whatever language in the Eucharist, so it could be a Eucharistic church with his heart very open and fixed in Jesus in the Eucharist, to receive the fortitude to continue forward, and also to begin a new culture, a culture of God. And what is the fruit of an authentic love for God? An authentic love for our brethren. The Eucharist teaches us also how to forgive our very own. St. John Neumann, eventually, at the conclusion of his years as Archbishop, was founding a parish and a school every month. He also wrote the first catechism for the churches in the United States. And he was the first bishop to rely on Our Lady as the patrons. Today we have many storms, many fires, but we have Jesus in the Eucharist who will guide us and give us the strength to conquer our historic moment. Let us conclude with the words of our Mother Foundress. Yes, Jesus gave himself to us in the dark night of incomprehension and indifference, betrayal, deafness, of the lack of contemplation, the love of loves, their own being, instituting the sacrament of love, the Holy Eucharist. Yes, Jesus, by free will, wanted not to leave us alone in this pilgrimage, but rather where we recognize his real presence will be with us until the end of time. He had to. What did the apostles do? Listen to him, that after he sent them to evangelize, Jesus assures them that they're not alone. And he wants them to be convinced that his presence will not be solely spiritual, but that it will also be sacramental, real, totally, full. And he says, no, I will be with you until the end of the world in the Eucharist. All for the heart of Jesus, through the heart of Mary.